Let's go.
Broadcasting from the center of the universe. His universe.
Much better.
He's 90% bourbon and 10% man. It's the Ricky Worley Show.
Oh, my Lord.
Here's your host, Ricky Worley.
So I'm already doing better than last week. I've hit record. Yeah, we're doing good. I didn't start drinking before the show.
No take twos or take three?
No, this is it. We're rolling this time. But I am going to fix my drink now because,
All right, what are you drinking, Ricky?
So I have not had it in a while, but I'm having my, it's kind of my go-to, my Jim Beam Black. I had all kinds of other bourbons around, but I was like, I missed this one. So I ordered me a big one, the big bottle.
The big gulp?
Yeah, that one. And I'm having my Jim Beam Black. What are you having?
I have two drinks. I have a Pellegrino with lime.
A double fister. Yeah,
and then I have some wine poured.
All right. Well, we've got a guest with us. Pretty excited about this one. He's kind of a neighbor to us in the Carolinas. He's from the mountains of North Georgia. He's got a new single out titled It Don't Matter. And country musician Thomas Fountain, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. Excited to be on here.
We're glad to have you. Now, you grabbed a drink. What are you having?
Well, I'm a little embarrassed to say I found a Mick Ultra in the refrigerator.
All right, that's the healthy beer, right? The Mick Ultra?
That's a weekday beer, yeah.
A weekday beer. I like that. A weekday beer.
Well, you were talking Jim Beam Black. I just recently partnered with a new bourbon company called Strut Whiskey, so you should check them out.
Strut Whiskey, like a guitar strut?
Strut, Strut, yeah, and it's an incredible thing that they're trying to do. They are aging their bourbon based on the sound waves from songs, so it's all musician based. Their company. I didn't even know this phenomenon existed until I partnered with the company. So while they're making the bourbon, apparently sound waves can affect the taste of alcohol.
So do they have pop whiskey and country whiskey and?
Theirs is all country music based.
Oh yeah, I pulled it up here.
On down the road, I will have a personalized bottle of Strut Whiskey with my song that quote unquote made the bourbon.
That's awesome. That's cool.
How fascinating.
Where are these guys out of? Tennessee, Kentucky?
They are originally out of Chicago, I believe.
Okay.
The owner is in Chicago, and he used to work at Jack Daniels and Coke, and he said he's always loved country music, and he wanted to get out and start his own company, make it more personalized towards musicians. So that's what he did.
That's cool. I'm looking at the bottle here. It says American whiskey meets outlaw country.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. Sweet. I'll have to try that out. Well, we've got a great show lined up. A little later in the show, we're actually going to help the ladies out with some signs that your guy might be a little too high maintenance. Plus, and you've got all the latest news. What you got coming up?
I definitely have lots of news. So Britney Spears is speaking out directly to fans about whether she's fine. I'll tell you what she's saying. Ellen DeGeneres is in a little hot water this week. She did something a little naughty, I'll tell you about. And all right. Guess which celebrity is a potential viable candidate for which one is a potential viable candidate for governor of Texas? Now that was my clue. So more on that later.
Interesting. I always forget he's from Texas, but yeah, we'll get into that coming up. So this week, my Aunt Beth and my Uncle Donnie, they came down. They live up outside of Detroit, Michigan area. And they came down to Florida, and we went to lunch at Bahama Breeze here in Orlando. And just when we sat down, sitting a few tables away, was this older woman, and she had to be in her 90s. And the best way that I could describe this woman is, do you remember Rose from Titanic, like the older version of Rose?
Yeah.
She looked like that. And she's out to lunch, I assume, with her daughter, younger. I mean, she had to be in her 50s or 60s, right? So they're out having lunch, and the waiter comes to the table, and he brings this big-ass green martini to the table and just kind of like sets it in between them. So I'm, curious. So I'm watching this to see who's going to drink that martini. Finally, the older lady, she kind of leans in, and without even picking up the martini glass, she just kind of sips from the top of the martini glass. And so I keep watching this, 90-some old woman drinking this drink. And I look back a few minutes later, the glass is empty. She's downed this martini glass in like record time. A few minutes later, there's a fresh green martini sitting in front of Grandma Rose from Titanic. But the best part of this was, as we're seeing this scene play out in front of us, I noticed that Grandma Rose has a walker. And I thought to myself, that's freaking brilliant. The next time I go out drinking, I think I'm going to take a walker with me because A, people are not going to think that I'm drunk. They'll think like I had a knee surgery or something, like, oh, poor guy. And B, I won't fall and stumble if I have too many green martinis.
That's true.
I couldn't believe, I was like, this old lady is like probably out from the home for the day and she's down to 2 green martinis with her daughter. I'm like,
I wonder what was in that martini. Green?
We tried to find it because it was not on the menu. So I'm thinking she's like just creating her own.
I mean, a red would be Cosmo. But
Apple martini, maybe?
Yeah, those are pretty potent, right?
Granny Apple. Or
Granny Apple.
Could be.
So I'm like, when I turn 90, that's what I want to be doing. Out with my friends and family, just drinking martinis with my walker. So it's pretty funny. So are you guys watching American Idol?
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching it. I kind of, this season, I guess, and the seasons past too, I miss Simon Cowell because I feel like somebody needs to be honest on that show.
I think they're kind of being honest.
I feel like it's so like everything is good. That was the greatest performance we've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, I do understand a little bit of what you're saying.
I'm watching it and I feel like a jerk, but I'm like, that was horrible. Like but nobody says it. Simon used to say, be like, why'd you do that?
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awful. Yeah. You're right. No one quite has his honesty. I mean, a couple of times I've thought the same thing that you thought. Like, wow, that was like really not good. And yeah, I do agree that they're not as hard as they can be. But maybe it was because it was the episode where the public was voting. And so they were kind of not wanting to skew it. They wanted the public to decide.
I could see that. I feel like sometimes Katie is a little constructive. Luke gives a little advice. And then Lionel is sitting there like he's never seen anybody sing before. Everything, he's like, oh, that was great. That was amazing. It was the best performance he's ever seen.
I think he picks out his favorites for sure.
And one of the problems I'm finding this year, and Thomas, you may be able to speak to this a little bit, I feel like they're all picking pop songs, and you can't sing like Billie Eilish if you're not Billie Eilish, or any of these radio pop songs. You need all that production, right? Mm-hmm. So you come out and you try to sound like, Dua Lipa or somebody like that. You can't pull that off without, all the extra effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Thomas, did you ever consider, early on in your career before you got your break, did you ever consider going on one of those shows like The Voice or American Idol?
Well, it's yes and no. I learned I learned quite a bit about those shows during this time, but it's been, probably 5-6 years ago. I get a call from Hollywood, I guess, wherever they're located, somewhere that nobody ever calls me like that.
Like, I don't know this area code.
Apparently, they have scouts that go out and
to find people.
So I get called down to a studio in Atlanta, and there was like 10 or 12 singers in there. So it was like a private, hand-selected process that went on. So I guess those are the singers that if they get picked, they're the ones that kind of just show up in the room. Maybe, they don't have the big dramatic story before they walk, into the room.
Right.
So I don't really know how it works. I know that, there are talent scouts out there that, are looking for people, but the amount of paperwork was just astronomical. I mean,
NDAs and stuff?
Yeah, it was like, have your parents been divorced? Who did you choose
they're looking
to live
for a story.
With? Is there anybody in your family that's had cancer or anything? I'm like, I'm filling out this paperwork. I'm like, I'm just way too normal for this show. Like, I've had some things happen, but nothing like traumatic.
You're not going to get the sympathy vote.
Right. And I was like, even if I really don't even want to share it if it has happened,
Yeah, I do know. I was friends with a music manager who used to manage one of the largest pop stars from England, and he was managing some other like smaller talent that was just kind of up and coming. And there was this girl from Atlanta actually that he was managing, and I remember watching The Voice, and she was on The Voice, and I was like, that's not even right because she already has a management team. She's already on this label. And they're just putting her out there like she was, just nobody, playing guitar in her bedroom. So, yeah, I started to kind of see through these shows a little bit. And
did she get very far?
So, yeah, it was The Voice. So she got a chair turn, and I think she made it to, like, the what is it? They do, like, the boxing ring, the battle rounds or whatever.
Yeah, knockouts.
I think she made it that far. But even that, they make it look like she's just Joe Blow from, playing guitar like Taylor Swift in her room, and now she's on The Voice. But no, there's a whole thing behind the machine there.
Yeah. It's it's a reality show, It's a good opportunity for people to get discovered who otherwise maybe couldn't, but it's definitely a reality show the way that it's, set up. I know people that have been on it before, and like the stories they have came up with between the contestants. I'm just like, oh my God, it's like, it's not, it's reality TV. Like none of it's real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I like to watch it and try to be like, oh, they're going to milk that story. They start to try and tug on your heartstrings a little bit.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm watching Idol this year and I'm just like, somebody be honest, tell these people the truth.
There were one or two duets that I didn't think were that great. In fact, Jason Aldean sang with some guy, and I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah, and he went home, too. Spoiler alert.
Did he?
So, anyway, we're going to take a quick break. Ann Sharpstein, you got the news. When we get back, we're hanging out with Thomas Fountain. Stick around, more of the Ricky Worley Show after this.
The COVID-19 vaccines are starting to become available across the country. And as they become available, you may be asking yourself, should I get it? Will it help get me back to doing the things I love? Like going out to my favorite restaurants, meeting with friends in person, or going on vacation and traveling again? And can I do it all without putting my family and those I love at risk? And is it safe? You've got questions. That's normal, which is why it's so important to get informed. The medical community has made it clear the vaccines authorized for COVID-19 have met the highest safety standards and can help protect us. Visit getvaccineanswers.org for all the latest information on the COVID-19 vaccines. That's getvaccineanswers.org. Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. It's up to you. A message brought to you by the Ad Council and the CDC.
We're back here on the Ricky Worley Show. Got Thomas Fountain hanging out with this country musician. He's got a new single out, It Don't Matter. We're going to talk about that coming up in just a bit. But first, Ann Sharpstein, you've got the news. Take it away.
And this story is being reported by TMZ. Britney Spears is going out of her way to tell her fans that she's fine and happy. But they still don't believe her. They suspect she's being forced to say that everything is A-okay.
Is this in a video?
It's online on social. Now, fans have been buzzing since Britney's online video late last week, in which she said that she's okay and that she's just taking some time off professionally to enjoy life. You might think that that'd be enough for the Free Britney crowd, but as it turns out, it was not. So, as evidenced by the hundreds of comments online from fans speculating that Britney was reading a script or that the video was edited in a way to mask some more insidious happenings behind the scenes. But unfortunately for this conspiracy crowd, that is not the case. In fact, sources close to Britney say the exact opposite is true. true. The video was edited by Britney herself, and there's no longer version in existence. You know, they were suspecting that there was more footage that was not being shown, but no.
So the video is edited?
Yes, and apparently this video, it was all Britney's doing. She shot it, she said what she wanted to say in it, and she put it out there. So, you know, everyone thinks that because she's under a conservatorship that they're pulling all the strings and telling her what to say. But our sources say Britney was not reading from a script. And as for why she was swaying back and forth, I don't know if you've seen her do that.
She does that a lot in her videos.
Yes, we're told that she's just very shy and a little fidgety. So that's it. There's nothing else to it.
Yeah, she is always like flipping her ponytail around or something. I don't know. I don't know if she's on something, or maybe she's being convinced that everything is okay. It's still weird to me. I'm not in the conspiracy theory kind of thing, but this is bizarre that a 40-some-year-old woman is not in control of her life.
True, and I admit it is a little weird when she uses that kind of baby voice. Mm-hmm. Have you heard that?
Yeah,
and she speaks really fast and in a baby voice.
Right.
I don't ever do that.
Until she just like sits down like a normal person and just does a live stream and is like, okay, let's talk. I don't think that these rumors are going to go away because, like you said, these videos are very like manipulated or something. There's something off about them. And as long as they keep doing that, I don't think anybody's going to believe that she's
But
really
I don't
okay.
know. She also, remember, she'll videotape herself or film herself dancing in front of the camera in like skimpy outfits too. So anyway, if you're wondering why Britney chose this time to address the, I guess, are you okay questions, we're told it's because Britney actually reads the comments left on her posts, and she noticed a lot of people asking whether she was okay. So she figured she'd just assure everyone that she's fine.
I don't believe that because, I may believe, I don't know. Here's the thing. This has been going on for over a year, right?
True.
This Free Britney thing. And so why now is she just now starting to be like, oh, people are worried about me?
Well,
I feel like there's something more going on here. Like somebody finally is like, we need to address this.
Okay, so I follow some of the Free Britney videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And maybe they're getting a little worried. Maybe they're giving her a little bit more freedom.
Worried what? That they'll lose control of the conservatorship? Oh.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway, of course, no explanation at all will ever be good for the conspiracy theorists. But we have been assured that, honest to God, the truth is Britney is not crying out for help. And yes, Caitlyn Jenner announced on Friday she is running for governor of California.
I was very proud. We had that last week. We knew that was coming out.
We kind of scooped it.
Yeah, man.
Now, the Keeping Up with the Kardashians star and, of course, transgender rights activist, say that 3 times real fast, has filed the initial paperwork to challenge Democratic incumbent Governor Gavin Newsom in a potential recall election.
Has he been recalled yet, though? I mean, is this even happening, or it's just...
From what I understand, don't quote me on this, but the California Secretary of State has said that 2 million signatures were turned in, 1.4 million have been verified. So I think they're on their way to a recall election.
Okay.
Anyway, Caitlyn says, I'm in. And she declared this on Twitter this past week. Now, she is 71 years old, and she has a team of very prominent GOP strategists behind her, according to Axios. They include Tommy Fabrizio, a pollster who worked on former President Donald Trump's 2016 and 2020 campaigns. Also, Stephen Chung, a former Trump White House aide who was part of Arnold Schwarzenegger's team during his successful 2003 election. And of course, Jenner's personal friend, Brad Parscale, is Trump's former campaign manager. He helped her build this team, though he doesn't plan on taking an official role on her campaign.
This is such a bizarre kind of candidacy because there's so many contradictions here, right?
Right, like what?
He's a trans woman who's running on the GOP ticket. You
misgendered her. I did. That's a very bad thing.
Yes, she's a trans woman running on a GOP ticket, which is not usually a GOP, issue. And then she's also in California, which is very liberal. And what I read, a lot of the comments, like when she announced that she was running, were no. I love you and what you've done for the LGBT thing, but I don't support your policies, because she's very conservative politically, with policies. So
Very true.
I don't know how this is going to play out, because like I said, there's just so many contradicting things here. It's kind of like, okay, wait, who are you? What's the party? What's the policy?
Well, you're right. I mean, she's a long-standing Republican, right?
Right.
We know where she stands on the transgender issue, but
what I've seen is she's running on opening California up, right? Kind of the antithesis of what Governor Newsom was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been very vocal and speaking out.
So she's not even really running so much on social issues. It's all about, we got to get California open and the economy going again.
Well, yeah, and actually recently she came out and she really slammed Governor Newsom for his over-restrictive lockdown, during the pandemic, and she complained that the Golden State's taxes are, quote, too high.
Yeah.
Anyway, she goes on to say, for the past decade, we have seen the glimmer of the Golden State reduced by one-party rule that places politics over progress and special interests over people. And so she went on to say that what Sacramento needs is an honest leader with a clear vision. She thinks it's herself. And she says, this isn't the California we know. This is Gavin Newsom's California, where he orders us to stay home, but he goes out to dinner with his lobbyist friends. Remember that?
Yeah. This seems to be a reoccurring governor problem. I think they had that issue up in Michigan also with, Governor Whitmer. She was telling everybody to stay home, and then she came down to Florida to see her dad. So,
right. Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
Now, as we all know, the Kardashian clan are really great at merch, right? And Caitlyn's campaign website went live Friday morning featuring a whole slew, Ricky, of campaign goodies for sale, including a pair of stemless wine glasses that say Caitlyn for California.
Got to get a set of those.
Those are $35. Or you could opt to get a matching pair of beverage coolers. I guess they're like beer koozies for $15. Huh. So
I don't think it's going to take off quite as well as Kylie's cosmetics, but
yeah, or the Spanx. Yeah, everyone needs Spanx. So anyway, now sources close to Caitlyn tell TMZ that she spoke to her family before announcing her campaign, just to give them a heads up. And we're told though that she does not expect them to stump for her on the campaign trail. As we know, her politics have been a big issue with the family for years. For instance, she has taken positions on issues like gay marriage, which she initially opposed, but now she supports. And Kim, for instance, Kim Kardashian, who adores Caitlyn, apparently. They have a great relationship. But even though Kim's been active in politics, do you remember she worked with Donald Trump on prison reform?
Yeah, well, and her husband, ex-husband now, professed his love for Trump. I don't know.
Right, they were like best buds.
Yeah.
Well, how did she get involved in prison reform? I don't get that, but I digress. Anyway, and also you'll remember she never publicly endorsed her husband, Kanye, during his presidential bid.
Yeah, but what did we say? He still got 16 million votes. Or was it 1,000? I'm going to have to look it up. I think Kanye
I don't know if it's 16 million.
60,000. Sorry, way off. 60,000.
Way off.
So his fan club, basically.
Yeah. Now, Ellen DeGeneres is catching heat online for admitting that she drove her wife, Portia de Rossi, to the hospital in March after drinking 3 weed drinks and taking over-the-counter sleep aids.
Have either of you ever had a weed drink?
No.
I didn't even know it existed.
Was it like a tea?
I have no idea. I figured, Ricky, you would know because you travel the world. And
I have not had. I just spent a good bit of time in Amsterdam. I have not had a weed drink though. Sorry, so she had 3 weed drinks. I remember this story. Portia had a ruptured kidney or.
Right. So actually, she had an emergency appendectomy. Now, DeGeneres made the admission that what she did was probably not safe to do. She confessed this to Jimmy Kimmel Tuesday during a marijuana-themed episode of his show. And she explained that she found de Rossi on the bathroom floor of their home, visibly in pain. And this was after Ellen had consumed 3 canned drinks and the sleep aid melatonin. So here's what happened next. She then drove DeRossi to the hospital for an emergency appendectomy. Now, she, quote, said, Chelsea Handler told me about these weed drinks. They're called Can, and they have CBT or THC. I don't know what the good thing is. And she went on to explain, I drank one and I didn't feel anything. So I drank 3. And then I took 2 melatonin sleep pills. And she says, so I'm laying in bed and I realize Portia's not in bed. She's moaning. So I get out of bed and she's on the ground on all 4s. And I said, you're not okay. And she goes, I'm okay. And I said, no, unless you're playing Twister by yourself, you're not okay. So then I rushed her to the emergency room. Kimmel then asked DeGeneres on the show, so you drove her by yourself? And Ellen said, I did. And she replied, my adrenaline kicked in because I just had to rush her there. And
I feel like anybody would do that. Your spouse is like buckled over. And
True.
We got to go.
She went on to say, she said, it probably is not safe. I shouldn't be saying any of this, DeGeneres said on the show. And meanwhile, some social media users decried Ellen's anecdote as an example of her privilege, with one person writing, she could have killed someone. I'm so sick of her entitlement.
All right, so we're going to take it there.
Yeah. And as I said earlier, all right. Guess which celebrity is a potential viable candidate for governor of Texas?
Mr. McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey. He is definitely said to potentially have a lot of support, enough support to become Governor McConaughey. Now, political polls are not exactly known for their accuracy, but if you believe the latest Dallas Morning News University of Texas poll, 45% of Texas voters would vote for him for governor, compared to just 33% who would vote for the current governor, Greg Abbott. However, the paper notes that McConaughey, who has criticized both Republicans and Democrats and describes himself as aggressively centrist, he could face some problems in the primary. So let me explain this. Now, 51% of Democratic primary voters indicated that they prefer a progressive candidate, and only 25% opted for a centrist candidate. And also on the Republican side, the story is similar. Only 20% of Republicans say they'd like to see a centrist in office. However, a lot of folks say that he's very similar to Trump, as far as being an outsider who's not afraid to call out the system.
They're saying McConaughey is like Trump?
Some people are, yeah.
All right.
What do you think?
I don't think so, but I think he should run as an independent, because I think the second he picks a party, I don't think it's going to work out. Especially if he's a self-described centrist. It's interesting to watch. So I don't know. I mean, throw him in the race, see what happens, right?
Yeah, I guess we're going to find out. It's going to be interesting. And also, what went down with American Idol finalist Wyatt Pike suddenly leaving the show?
Yeah, so Wyatt Pike, he was kind of like a folksy kind of guy.
Yeah.
From, I think, like Park City, Utah, and he abruptly was taken off of the show, and I think they just said personal reasons, which could mean anything.
The 20-year-old contestant apparently is said to have left the show because of a feud with Luke Bryan. The rumor goes on that he and the judge got into a small dust-up that left Luke with a black eye. And hence, that's why Luke was absent from, remember, the Sunday, April 12th
Yeah, so
episode.
the next week, he's off the show. They put in, Paula Abdul in his place.
That's right.
And they blamed the whole thing on COVID, right?
Right. He came out and he tweeted out, he said, I'm sorry to say I won't be a part of tonight's first live American Idol show. I tested positive for COVID, but I'm doing well, and I look forward to being back soon. So, as you said, Paula Abdul filled in alongside Lionel Richie and Katy Perry.
Was she lucid? Was she...
Yeah. No, I thought she had both feet on the ground. She was good.
That's good.
Now, it was during that night's show that Ryan Seacrest announced, just kind of out of the blue, that Wyatt had packed his bags and he was gone. Like you said, citing personal reasons. It was very cryptic. Now, as you know, Wyatt had made it to the top 16, and remember Katy Perry praised him for, being such an original, and, so he was highly thought of, right?
He was a
I mean,
fan favorite for sure, so it is
yeah.
bizarre.
But Luke's wife, Caroline, quickly set the record straight on TikTok, writing that she would have actually preferred that to his COVID diagnosis. So he's recuperating and apparently didn't get a black eye.
And he just was on the ACMs the other day, and I didn't really pay attention, but it didn't look like he had a black eye.
Well,
there's a lot you can do with makeup, but yeah.
Yeah, makeup can cover up a lot of things. Did you watch the ACM Awards?
Oh, yes, I did.
I did see it was one of the lowest rated in years.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was
I
a good
thought it
show.
was the best one I've seen.
It was a great show. I loved how they went around the city, different venues around Nashville.
I got to go watch it. And also, here's proof that we all need to drink more coffee. So, like most of us like a good cup of coffee, right? To get us going in the morning.
Or two or three.
Or 3 or 4 or 5. But a new study says actually you'll do better with more coffee, much, much more. So researchers in Portugal say people who regularly drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee are not only more alert, but they see more activity in their brains as well. Yeah.
Well, caffeine, your brain's going nuts.
Yeah, you're buzzing. Now, scientists examining MRI scans discovered differences in the makeup of the brains between regular coffee drinkers and those who don't consume the beverage at all. Coffee drinkers had a much more efficient brain, they said, with quicker connectivity to the cerebellum and other parts of the brain that I can't pronounce. So we're going to slide over
Maybe
that.
if you drink some more coffee, you could.
Yeah, probably so. I used to drink 5 or 6 cups of coffee every morning, and now I just do 1. Anyway, even 1 cup of coffee can keep you sharp, according to this study.
This is every year with coffee, alcohol. One year it's good for you, then it's terrible for you. You shouldn't drink it. These studies always change.
Yeah. So Professor Nuno Sousa said, quote, "This is the first time that the effect that drinking coffee regularly has had on our brain network is studied with this level of detail. And we were able to observe the differences between those who drink coffee regularly and those who do not drink coffee. And the coffee drinkers won." The findings appear in the Journal for Molecular Psychology, which I'm pretty sure you have a subscription to, right?
Yes, I read that every week like Cosmo.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's it. Alongside Cosmo.
Alongside Cosmo.
Well balanced. And we'll call this last story, woman charged with felony embezzlement of a videotape she didn't return over 20 years ago. This is, if we all worry if our past, is going to catch up with us and cause us problems, this is the perfect, example of this story. In Norman, Oklahoma, Karen McBride is facing felony embezzlement charges for not returning a copy of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Blockbuster's coming for her.
Yes, on VHS tape. And it was rented more than 2 decades ago.
Oh my gosh.
Did you ever not return a library book or a tape?
I probably still have library books from when I was a child that I never took back.
I'm sure I still have outstanding stuff to Blockbuster from college.
Oh no!
And that's why I don't go back to the library, because you can't check anything else out because you got something outstanding. So I'm like, well, I guess that's it for me in the library.
Now, McBride, who now lives in Texas, says she first learned about the charges when trying to change her name on her license after getting married. She called the Cleveland County District Attorney's Office, where a woman there told her about the charges filed against her. And McBride says upon hearing the news, quote, "I thought I was going to have a heart attack." She told me it was a VHS tape, and I had to make her repeat it because I thought, this is insane. So she's trying to come to terms with this. She says she doesn't even remember renting the movie, but 20 years ago, she was living with a young man who had 2 kids, and she thinks maybe it was rented for them.
How would you remember? I mean, how could you remember that? How long ago? You said 20 years ago?
Sometimes I don't even remember why I walked into a room.
I don't remember what I watched on Netflix last night, much less what I checked out 10, 20 years ago from Blockbuster.
I don't know what I had for lunch today. So, yeah, I don't remember things like that. Now, documents show that the movie was rented at a business by the name of Movie Place in Norman, Oklahoma, which closed down in 2008. And an attorney by the name of Ed Blau with Blau Law Firm said that even though there's technically no victim in the case because, the business closed down, Cleveland County could still prosecute the case because charges and a warrant were filed against McBride.
All for Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Wow, I hope they enjoyed it. Now, McBride said, that over the last 20 years, she'd been let go from several jobs without being given a reason why. And she told her local Fox TV station, Fox 25, she said, now it all makes sense. Quote, this is why, because when they ran my criminal background check, all they're seeing is those two words, felony embezzlement.
Embezzlement.
Anyway, and that concludes the news.
All right, there it is, news with Ann Sharpstein. All right, when we get back, we've got signs, ladies, for Is Your Guy Too High Maintenance? Plus, we've got Thomas Fountain hanging out. We're going to talk about his music, his new single, and I think there's a new video coming out soon. We'll be chatting about that right after the break.
Never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league! Ugh! I love this guy! What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Hey, we're back here on the Ricky Worley Show. Ann Sharpstein, Thomas Fountain hanging out with us. All right, so I was reading my my issue of Cosmo magazine. I never miss one, and came across this signs that your man is too high maintenance. So, ladies, if you relate to some of these, you might want to run. Here we go. Number 1, he checks himself out in the store window as he walks past. I don't know if that's high maintenance.
Probably is. I've never dated a guy who did that. Thank goodness.
Just gonna make sure your hair's not out of place. You don't have something in your teeth. High maintenance. He has self-help books by his bedside.
All right. Do either of you have self-help books by your bedside?
Negative.
No, I
Big
don't.
negative.
I probably should, but I don't.
Actually, I think that would be an indication that a guy was not high maintenance because he's looking to, be a better guy, a better version of himself.
Guess. You confront him about his highlights, and he swears it was the work of the sun. Remember guys used to do that? Like Ryan Seacrest used to do it, like the frosted tips and the boy bands and stuff.
Yeah. I don't think either one of you have ever gotten frosted tips, have you?
I have not. Thomas, have you?
No.
Quiet over there. No. Not even back in the 90s?
Salon too.
See, you had a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I did. I was the guinea pig there for a couple of years when she first started, but never frosted tips.
Not the Backstreet Boys do.
Not a perm.
A perm.
No one gets perms anymore, do they?
No, and that's such an unmistakable smell. I remember going to church on Sunday, and you knew when Susie had a perm because you could smell it 3 rows back.
It's the worst look too.
Another sign your guy's too high maintenance. He has a 300 thread count bed linen set. That's not very high, is it? 300?
That's really low.
I feel like that's the standard Walmart brand, no?
I mean, 1,200 thread count would be maybe high maintenance, right?
I guess. Another sign that your guy's too high maintenance, he uses emojis in his emails.
I think it's just weird.
I use them in my text messages, but emails, I find that unprofessional, no?
Yeah.
I agree.
He has a breed of dog that starts with the word teacup or toy.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think most men need to have a dog from the sporting group.
Last one, again, this is all according to Cosmopolitan magazine. A sign that he is too high maintenance is when you're having dinner out and he requests his salad dressing on the side. Yeah, I did that. So when we were at Bahama Breeze the other day, I did ask for my salad dressing on the side. Does that make me high maintenance? According to Cosmo.
According to
Well, it was
Cosmo.
like a sweet island dressing. I was afraid it was going to be like pure sugar. So I was like, I didn't want it doused all over the salad.
You're sounding high maintenance.
All right. I'm going to shut up now.
Stop talking.
All right. So you got Thomas Fountain hanging out with us, country musician from North Georgia. All right, you got this new single out. It just came out a few days ago, right? It Don't Matter?
Yes, April 23rd, and shot a music video 2 days ago.
Yeah, I just saw there's some kind of behind-the-scenes footage there on Instagram of this new music video.
Yes, it was wild.
So did you tape that in North Georgia?
I did. We taped it in Woodstock, Georgia, at a venue there. Played a couple times.
Any idea when that's going to be coming out?
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We're already starting the editing process on that. It's just a super fun. It's my first real honky-tonk drinking song.
Did you
to play
write
the
it?
part. I didn't write this one. I think it's the first song off this EP I didn't write. Wyatt Pike, Aaron Ratier, two great writers out of Nashville, wrote this. When they sent it to me, it was kind of like a bluegrass tune. And we turned it into a kind of a honky-tonk. And, shot a music video for it. Of course, it being a drinking song, everybody that was in the video, we just kind of naturally played the part. And they were all about half lit about 10 minutes in. So
I don't guess it was too hard to find some extras for that. Like, hey, who wants to come and drink?
No, it wasn't. Normally with these music videos, there's always a very concrete plan and outline of what we're going to do. And
Oh, yeah.
my video guy was there, and he was like, Thomas, what's the plan? And I was like, just let them drink and act natural and see what happens.
Open
we
the
did,
bar.
And it turned out perfect.
Well, it looks fun. I can't wait to see that. I want to ask this. Do you name all of your guitars? Tell me about Sandy.
Sandy is my baby. She's my boo. I don't name all of them. I'm a one-woman man, so
loyal.
Yes, I have others, but Sandy is my main chick. I got out of music probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And before that, I was playing in cover bands, and decided I wanted to get out and start, writing more music, recording my own music. And when I did that, and started going under my name as an artist, I decided I want to, buy the guitar I've always wanted. And I found one, and I met a lady in the Target parking lot, and she opened it up, and I don't think she really knew what she had, which I kind of feel bad about it now. So I paid cash for the guitar, and I still got it, so I named her Sandy.
Wow.
It's like a country song right in itself.
Exactly.
So have you worked with some big names? Been on stage with folks like Charlie Daniels? Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what's that been like?
Charlie that's probably my most memorable experience as a musician.
So.
I had gotten to play and open for some pretty big people before that. I think this was 2 years ago, well, 3 now. And we were playing at a venue, and I always try to go out to the merch table after the show and, meet people and sign or whatever. And I was up there, and I told my merch crew, I was like, I just, played a show with Country Music Hall of Famer. I'm going to go meet him and talk to him, because I normally don't, try to get in their way or whatever, let them do their thing. And I go back there, and he's walking down the side hall out of his green room, and he's about to walk on stage like the band is already playing. And I said, Mr. Daniels, do you mind if I get a quick picture? And he was like, if you'll hurry up. I'm like, oh, God, this is not going to go
I
good.
feel like I've already pissed him off.
Yeah. I mean, how the band starts playing before the artist walks on, everybody's like, oh, here he comes, or she's coming. It's anticipation.
Right.
So they're playing during this whole time. And I said, my name's Thomas Fountain. I just opened the show for you. He's like, oh, the set was great. I didn't know that was you. I didn't realize that was you. So he proceeds to talk probably at least 5 minutes, which doesn't seem very long. But when the band's out there playing, and 3,000 people are waiting for him to come on stage, Yeah, he ended up giving me a lot of encouragement, a lot of great words of wisdom. And we took a picture, and my fiddle player was there with me too. And he's like, "You're the reason I started playing fiddle, you know, blah, 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 blah." So he's such a super nice stand-up guy.
Speaking of the fiddle, we just went, while my aunt and uncle were here, we went to Old Reds. You know, Blake Shelton has that country bar. He's got one here in Orlando. So we went to that the other night. And the band was okay, but I was so disappointed when I started looking around the stage, and I realized there's not a fiddle on the stage. And I was like, they're not going to do Devil Went Down to Georgia. And sure enough, they didn't. Obviously, a bunch of different bands that come through there, but that is like a quintessential country music instrument when you have the fiddle. And Charlie Daniels and the Charlie Daniels Band were one of a kind.
And it was amazing to watch him when we played with him. You know, it seems like when artists get over 50 or, you know, in their later years, their voice starts to go. You know, they've been singing for 40, 50 years at this point. He was 83 then, I think, and he told me he had, I want to say 170 dates lined up the next year.
Wow.
And he was still so sharp performance-wise. He's a great musician. His playing was great. His vocals were still great. And I'm just like, there's no way at the path that I'm going on right now that I'm going to be 83 doing that.
No, you're an amazing songwriter. Tell me about, like, are you kind of like a Nashville writer now where you write by appointment, or do you do it alone? Or tell me a little bit about that.
Well, thank you, first of all. I've tried both. I've recorded songs that have been, you know, co-written with some friends of mine who are great writers. But my music these days, I tell people, strange as it is, I want someone at my show to cry, whether it be just one person, whether they're just so overwhelmed with joy or, as bad as it sounds, sadness makes them think of something. I want a song that
just
I
to connect with it.
Yes, to impact just at least one person. And I find when I try to write songs that impactful, it's hard for me personally to do that with someone else.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if it's a sad song or an uplifting song or whatever, that usually comes from a very personal place. Right. And it's best for me to do that as a songwriter by myself. I've written, you know, some songs with other people, and they've been great songs, but when I play them, to me, it's not as much of a connection as a song that I've personally written, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I've done the whole, 10, 2, and 6 or whatever, the blocks are. And it's fun, and it's tough going in, especially with somebody you've never met before.
You just jump in and like, all right, let's go.
Hey, I'm Thomas. Hey, I'm John. Let's write a song about the worst times of our lives. It's just like, let's see how this goes.
I think that's so strange because creatively, like, it has to come from a really special place, and just to say, okay, it's 2:00, we're here. That just seems strange to me.
It can be very strange. Yes, it can be.
So It Don't Matter came out. You mentioned an EP. So is there an EP that this is going to be? There's more songs coming with this?
So this is my second EP. I've released a couple singles in between the two EPs, but with this one, we actually released it all physically on a CD last September. Okay. And, CDs are kind of dinosaur at this point, but
my dad still likes to buy them, so you still got to make them.
Yeah, I was so shocked when we started, back touring last September, how many CDs we were actually selling. But yeah, we have all 6 songs on the CD, and then we release them digitally one at a time as singles. Because people's attention span is so short now. If you release 6 songs at once, it's like, we'll listen to the EP for 2-3 weeks, and then it loses traction. So this is just a way to keep the traction going for longer.
It's kind of funny talking about CDs, because I remember I would buy an Alan Jackson CD, right? And I would sit down and listen to the whole thing. But if Alan Jackson, I think he just did actually, just release a new album, do I sit there and listen to the whole thing? Probably not. I sit there and listen to the ones that have the little star next to them on Apple Music, and maybe a few more with an interesting it's just like people don't listen to the whole album like you used to.
Right.
And I do see that a lot more people are releasing just singles or an EP versus a whole album.
And that's where, and I tell people this, and they're like, wow, I never even thought about it like that. When you hear an artist, let's say a major artist, or releases a single, this is from a songwriter standpoint, well, that person can now go digitally, iTunes, Spotify, whatever, and just listen and buy that one song. And if, let's say Alan Jackson has a song right now, but he doesn't release it to radio, well, the only way you're going to go hear it is to go seek it out versus, 20 years ago, if you got a cut on an Alan Jackson record, well, you just bought the whole CD and they just bought your song too, whether they wanted to or not.
Yeah, it was included, yeah.
So you really don't have to do that anymore. You can just go, pay 99 cents, 129, whatever, and buy that one song that you like.
It's crazy just in a matter of years, how much the industry's totally changed.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
And everyone's having to adapt to it. And it's kind of like the money now was made in touring and doing gigs. And of course, in 2020, all that went out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's that been for you?
It's been tough. It's been really tough. It's been tough on a lot of people. But yeah, the days of, making really good money off of music is people listening to music is kind of gone. And that's why you see older acts are out touring again. When I'm sure they thought, well, I'll just let people buy my music for the rest of my life and I don't have to get out on the road anymore. Well, that's not the case.
Yeah.
That ran out and people are back out playing again. Yeah, that's how we were making our money was, shows, live shows, and merch. Yeah. You can't really do that, either one, sitting at home,
Yeah, as try as they may with the virtual shows, I don't know how much that's really bringing in, but...
I did. I was able to keep afloat pretty well over the past year. I did a lot of private shows, so I was like, we can't play venues. People are scared, to come out, I guess. I'll come to you. You set the show up however you like, however many people you want to be there, and I'll come to you. And I was playing probably 5-6 shows a month for about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And it was a lot of fun. It was really personal. I was sitting down in their living room, or I played a lake house one time. I played a pool party one time, and it was
cool.
It was a ton of fun.
Well, I love the new music, and I can't wait to see the video when it comes out here in just, a few weeks, we're thinking?
Mm-hmm. I hope so, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Before we go, though, we're going to play a quick little game we like to play. It's called Ricky's Rapid Fire. I'm just going to ask you some quick questions, get some quick answers, and see what you come up with, all right?
All right, here we go.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
A professional basketball player.
How tall are you?
6'2".
Okay, all right, so it was doable. Not me, 5'8" was not happening.
I was a little too slow for the NBA and too short.
What was your first car?
91 Chevrolet S10, 4-wheel drive. When I bought it, it ran out of gas on the way home, and it had a Leonard Skinner CD behind the bench seat.
Oh, I wasn't even going to ask this, but now, what was your first CD, record, cassette, whatever it was?
Oh, man.
I know mine, and it's embarrassing. I'm not even going to tell you.
I grew up like heavily 90s influence, and my older sisters were like in the New Kids on the Block age, as bad as I hate to say that.
Yeah.
So it was like Paul Abdul, and then it kind of New Kids, and then it kind of graduated to, I was big into the Wallflowers and alt bands like that.
Yeah.
I love stuff. Still do. But yeah, those were some of my first musical. It wasn't even country at the time, it was pop was
whatever was popular.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place to vacation?
Wyoming.
I take it by your Instagram you're a big fisherman.
Yep, I'm out there probably 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, it's beautiful out that way.
Yep.
What's something about yourself that surprises people?
Most people are shocked when they find out I had before I really took music full time, I was a high school basketball coach, and spent 2 years coaching in college before that. So yeah, I was a former, basketball was my life. So that kind of the NBA dream, when it didn't pan out, I just jumped into coaching.
If you could win, that you may have just answered this. If you could win any Olympic medal for any sport, real or fake, what would it be?
Let's
take basketball off the table.
Okay, basketball. I was track and field was my favorite thing to watch in the Olympics. The 100-meter sprint, the dash. Just the fastest man in the world. Just knowing I could never do that, I guess. But, yeah, that was probably my favorite Olympic event to watch growing up.
What's one food that you could never give up?
Anything on the grill, any steaks, any kind of barbecue, probably barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our neck of the woods, we have good barbecue too. I know everybody likes to say that Austin has good barbecue or St. Louis has good barbecue, but I think that Blue Ridge barbecue is the best.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What is one household chore you wish you could have someone else do?
Folding laundry.
Yeah, that's a bad one. We got the
In a
machine to
heartbeat.
wash
No
it.
hesitation on that one.
I like folding laundry.
You do?
I do.
Come over anytime.
I actually really do.
I hate vacuuming too, but now we've got the robot for that. So now we just
I
need
like vacuuming.
a laundry folding robot. Her name's Ann Sharpstein.
There's something about, I have a cleaning lady every once in a while, and there's something about hearing someone else clean. It makes me very sleepy. It's like the best thing to relax.
Never come around 9 o'clock at
Anyway.
night, put you to bed.
Anyway.
Last question. Best concert you've ever gone to?
It's probably been 4 or 5 years ago. I was in Fort Worth. I saw Chris Stapleton open for Merle Haggard, which Merle Haggard's my all-time inspiration. And Stapleton's probably my current favorite. So it was just on another level.
Yeah.
The energy in that room was amazing. And then he didn't live much longer after that. So it may have actually been one of his final shows.
Wow. You're not going to top that. Well,
Nope.
check it out. Thomas Fountain. You're on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you can get music, basically. Instagram is T Fountain Music. Facebook, just Thomas Fountain. And then some fun videos. You've got some other music videos on your YouTube channel, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got probably 5 or 6 on there.
And I assume that's where the new one's going to come out on?
Yep. We'll premiere it there on YouTube.
Look for that, and I'm sure it'll be on social media as well. Of course, find all the links to that stuff at thomasfountain.com. Thomas, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's been a blast having you on.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
And I get caught up on all the news because I don't watch it very much anymore.
all the hard-hitting news here on the Ricky Worley Show.
Including Cosmos.
Yeah.
Well, like we say every week, cheers, and we'll catch you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
If I could be you.
And you could be me?
For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside.
Each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.